Ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate that Senator Javed Jabbar is given his precious time to Ankahi TV. And as the name of Ankahi TV, that we want to know those things which the audience have not heard before. First of all, thank you, Senator, for gracing us your presence here. This is your first visit to Houston. And we have heard a lot about you talking about Pakistan and Pakistaniyat. Mm-hmm. And it would be a good time that the Pakistan diaspora in the United States would like to understand what is Pakistani and what is Pakistaniyat.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Dr. Asaf Qadeer, for your very gracious invitation and introduction. It is a pleasure and privilege to be here and to learn so much about the remarkable achievements that you personally have registered, your wife, mashallah, the whole family contributing to the health and, if I may say, the wealth of Texas and the United States. But it makes a Pakistani proud. And that is exactly one of the main features of what it means to be Pakistani. To be Pakistani is basically to possess the official, formal identity in a national identity card or a Pakistani passport, or by reason of birth or belonging, you are a Pakistani. But there is also something called Pakistaniyat, which in my humble view has evolved over the past 75 years of living together for the first time as citizens of a completely new nation state, which had not existed before 1947, unlike other countries which have existed in history. So, by getting to know each other, by interacting with each other across all 4 provinces and migrants from other parts of South Asia who came and settled and chose to become Pakistanis. There are 2 kinds of Pakistanis. One who are born to people whose ancestors have lived in that area for decades or centuries. Like my wife, for example, she has an ancestry from Punjab and parts of Kashmir. But in my case, my parents were born and they grew up in places like Hyderabad, Deccan, which in what is now India, or Madras, which is also now what is India. So, for the first time, people started meeting each other, marrying each other, getting to know each other. And as a result, we have developed some common characteristics that otherwise, if you take them separately, they don't exist. But by coming together and getting to know each other, we have developed this amalgam, which I call Pakistaniyat, which contains some very positive features, and those one can enumerate, but also, like every human being has some positive aspects, and every human being may have some negative aspects. So Pakistaniyat also includes some of our bad habits, some of our bad traditions, which we hold on to in the name of tradition.
Right.
But actually those are very regressive. For example, we don't give women and girl children the right to decide when will they be married, when will they be asked to have children. The majority, I'm not talking about the minority that is already educated. So Pakistaniyat over the past 75 years is the mental condition of being Pakistani and the emotional commitment of being part of a larger entity, which is still evolving. And it will take decades and centuries to evolve even more resonantly and fully.
Yeah, thank you. You know, Jabbar Sahib, although Pakistani diaspora in America has left Pakistan for a long time ago.
Yes.
But their souls still resonate in the corridors and the cities of Pakistan. And when a neighbor like India does military exercise or military adventure to Pakistan, the Pakistan diaspora really react very favorably for the motherland, because they have adopted America as their homeland, but they are still connected to the motherland. And I know you have been in an arena of international affairs, diplomacy. Can you brief us the recent military adventure of India, and what is the consequence of this? How does it pan out to be international relation? How does Pakistan can balance American relation and China relation? It's a very vast subject, and I know you are the ideal person to answer it, because I am looking forward to. I'm not going back what happened, what I am looking forward to. And can you share this with our audience?
Thank you. What I bring to this question is the fact that I have humbly been part of what has been the longest running track 2 dialogue between Pakistan and India. It began in late 1991. I joined in early 1992. And it went on a regular basis right up to 2015. So that's about 25 years almost of meeting a select group of Indians with a select group of Pakistanis who used to meet once every 6 months with the consent of both governments. But there were certain rules which made it very different from public events. Number one, there was no media reporting. And no member of the group had the freedom to quote what was discussed. Not because of an attempt to hide anything or conceal anything, but in order to enable free and frank discussion. Because once you have cameras, and with no disrespect to cameras, because I'm a filmmaker and cameras and television have their own value.
Right.
But when you're talking about the complexity of interstate relations, and more so between Pakistan and India, there are many facets which you cannot discuss publicly without it being subject to misunderstanding or misrepresentation. So, for over 22 years, we were able to meet and be very frank with each other on every issue under the sun. Nuclear weapons, Kashmir, trade, travel, people-to-people exchange, softening the border to facilitate religious travel and tourism and so on. So the entire spectrum of subjects. Unfortunately, with the advent of the Hindutva mentality in India and the BJP government, that track 2 dialogue, which was very deeply appreciated by both governments because they were able to use some of those ideas and integrate them into policy without acknowledging that this has come from Nimrana. Neither did we want to be given credit for it. We were helping our respective governments to improve mutual understanding and dialogue. One of the conclusions I have come to is that there is a lingering unwillingness on the part of India, the Indian state, to accept the finality and the inevitability and the permanence of Pakistan as a concept and an identity. They have been brainwashed and conditioned into thinking that Pakistan was torn out of some mythical India, as if there was a huge, big, single country called India, and Pakistan was simply extracted from that. Now, this is a fundamental misconception, because there was no such thing as a mythical great India. Only in the time of Ashoka and Chandragupta Maurya was there a large empire which was almost in charge of the territory that is now called India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. So, in August 1947, 2 new nation states were created. And the problem with the Indian state is that Pakistan is the only country in South Asia which has the capacity and the will to assert its own independence, and it is refused to accept Indian domination, which is done in the case of Nepal, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, even Bangladesh until August of last year was under the domination of India. Pakistan does not want to, and it has the capacity to defy the hegemonic impulses of the Indian state. So with this history and this kind of psychosis which the Indian state has, and I must clarify that it's not true of all Indians. There are some very enlightened, progressive Indian people who accept Pakistan for what it is. Unfortunately, they do not have political power. So political power is exercised by those who still nurture this resentment and this hate. Almost, it's a terrible sentiment to have. But Hindutva is based on the very flawed thesis that you can only be Indian if you are Hindu, which means that they don't accept whether it is Muslim, whether it is Christian, Sikhs. They want everyone to become Hindu, which is not acceptable. On a basis of human identity, it is demeaning to tell someone, no, you can't be Indian unless you are a Hindu. So this attack by India against Pakistan is in line with the historical attitude. It's not a sudden outburst. And it is part of a pattern. You will notice in history also, such incidents have happened. And there is no explanation how they happened, who did this. No proof is presented. And accusations are immediately made against Pakistan. So this is the Indian psychosis in part of the Indian state working out its inability to accept the permanence of Pakistan. And it is so fitting and so empowering to see that Pakistan, with all its problems, was able to deter India very promptly and assert the fact that we can't be dealt with lightly.
Jabbar Sahab, you know that democracy and democratic process makes a country great. Yes. We live in America. We have seen democracy, how it works, with all its good effects and bad effects. We have seen for the past 2 decades in Pakistan a civil and military relationship. Have you got any comments on that?
Yeah, it is a very complex and not a very easy relationship. But it goes back to history. It is beyond even 20 years. In my humble study of history, one can pinpoint the year 1954. The year 1954 was very crucial because a civil, political gentleman who was a very decent, well-meaning man, Mr. Muhammad Ali Bogra, he was the Prime Minister. When he formed a new cabinet, he appointed the then serving Commander-in-Chief of the Pakistan Army, General Ayub Khan, to also become the Defense Minister of Pakistan. Now, in my view, that was a salutary, catastrophic error because you were asking the serving chief of the army to become his own boss. The chiefs of all the 3 services are supposed to report to the Minister of Defense. But if you yourself become the Minister of Defense, you are undermining the whole structure of authority and power. And that opened the door to the military beginning to appreciate its power and to underestimate and devalue the role of the civil and the political. And no wonder, within 4 years of that, martial law was declared, the constitution was abrogated, Iskandar Mirza was exiled, and General Ayub Khan became the commander-in-chief, the field marshal, and then the president. So, this is a historical imbalance that has been constantly aggravated both by the civil and the military, both of whom want the betterment of Pakistan. I mean, the military is not by Khuda na Khasta hostile to the very existence of Pakistan. It's an outstanding institution based on merit in a society where feudalism and your ancestry and inheritance makes a big difference. In the armed forces, it is individual merit. Regardless of whether your father is a landowner or he's a pushcart vendor or whatever, if you meet the certain criteria of being admitted, and then you have to become educated, of course, and you qualify. So there are, one supreme example was General Musa, who enlisted as a simple soldier and went on to become the commander-in-chief of the Pakistan Army. So there are some extraordinary strengths of the armed forces. Unfortunately, they have been asked to come into the political domain, and we need to correct it and learn from other countries where such imbalances have occurred. And the best example is Indonesia, where the military started to play a very dominant role in the political sphere. But about 15 years ago, there became a consensus between the civil and the military. And gradually, they have reduced the role of the military in civil political matters, though it still remains a potent force. So in Pakistan's case, we have to conduct a dialogue which is mutually respectful and where it is realized that in the long term, it is better for civil political issues to be dealt with through a democratic process. They should take responsibility, and the civil democratic people should assert more willingness and not themselves become so dependent on the armed forces. This is the great tragedy that even popularly elected people, Muhammad Ali Bogra was not directly elected in that sense because adult franchise had not yet been introduced. It came much later. The first elections were held in 1970. But even popularly elected people have unnecessarily brought the army and the armed forces into politics. So both of them have to adjust to each other's reality.
Jabbar Sahib, you have spent a lot of time in Pakistan. You have served in a very different variety of places at the highest level. Can you share with our audience 10 super things that Pakistan has done that you have seen before your eyes so that we can talk what good has Pakistan done over the years?
My God, 10. Well, I know, I'm sure one can come up with more than 10, but let me begin by saying by just surviving. The fact that we survived a very difficult birth, which was in the most painful circumstances, is the extraordinary achievement of Pakistan. Second, within months and years of being born in very difficult conditions, we gathered and mobilized enough energy to start generating economic value in agriculture and in industry. The third was that the state, which is normally considered inefficient, and the private sector is the efficient one, the engine of growth. In Pakistan's case, it was the state of Pakistan that laid the foundation for industry and encouraged entrepreneurs to come and take up those units that the state built through organizations like the Pakistan Industrial Development Corporation, PIDC. And they engineered a rate of growth that became the envy of India. India was astonished. How is Pakistan doing so well in the 1950s? So the fourth and fifth things are achievements even in the field of non-economics like sports and culture. within a few years of Pakistan being born, we were scoring victories in Test cricket against England in the Oval in 1954. We had become a team,
Right.
the first visiting team in British and cricket history
Right.
to beat England on its first tour on the soil of England.
Right.
Pakistan
Right.
was 7 years old.
Right.
And then in 1960, 13-year-old country, we won the Olympic gold medal for hockey.
Hockey.
And this was happening in a country where people said, Pakistan doesn't have any resources and it won't last. So there was an extraordinary spirit of dynamism and confidence and good cheer. And 6th, 7th, I would say, is, our capacity to absorb refugees, extraordinary scale of people who came in 1947-58. We had no infrastructure. And people were so warm and they opened their hearts and their homes. And we built homes for them. We built, even people like me who came a little later, but people assimilated refugees and migrants and generated new opportunities. And this whole people's attitude to newcomers was there. And then the 7th and 8th, I would say, are our capacity to produce extraordinary diplomats. On the international stage, even today, Pakistan is widely respected in the United Nations for producing diplomats of exceptional ability. Whether people who have served in the UN itself, as Ahmad Shah Bukhari, who was the, he was the mentor of my father-in-law, Sayyid Rashid Ahmad. Ahmad Shah Bukhari was the brother of Zulfiqar Bukhari, Zede Bukhari. And he became Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, 1949-50. And followed by a whole series of individuals of extraordinary ability who contributed to it. Sir Chaudhry Zafrullah, outstanding foreign minister for Pakistan. The Arab countries asked a Pakistani foreign minister to become the spokesman for the Arab countries. Because not a single one they felt in the 22 Arab countries of the time was as capable as Chaudhry Zafrullah Khan. So we produced people in a very short time. We were excelling.
Right.
And then the 9th and the 10th, I think, is the 9th is the ability to survive 1971. What a traumatic event it was.
Right.
The majority of our population left. The minority was behind, and they said, we are going to preserve the word Pakistan, identity of Pakistan, and we'll rebuild it. And finally, we developed, unfortunately, but there was no choice, nuclear weapons.
Right.
A country whose even allies did not want us to develop nuclear weapons,
Right.
But we had the will and the ability to show the world that you can't mess with Pakistan.
Jabbar Sahab, you started a topic that I want to ask you, how much credit you give to the foresight of civilian leadership for atomic and missile technology?
Oh, I would say overwhelmingly, I would give it to the civil and the political leadership, supported very ably and competently by the military leadership, because after all, you remember the foundation for our nuclear capacity was not just with the bomb. The bomb came later, after 1971. Zede Bhutto set the tone and he made that a strategic objective. But the foundation for this was laid in the 1950s with the formation of the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission and the leadership of Dr. Nazir Ahmad, Dr. Ayach Usmani, Munir Hussain, others who came after them. They recruited hundreds and thousands of Pakistanis, trained them as technologists, scientists, engineers. They created this pool of people who, when Dr. A.Q. Khan came and brought this new technology of enrichment, they were able to become a team. And remember that our capacity is not just to make a nuclear weapon, which is destructive, but also to be very creative At this time, thousands of Pakistanis benefit every day from health centers that are run across the country by the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission and by research into isotopes that are helping boost agricultural productivity and a number of precision engineering fields. So our capacity to excel in nuclear energy, peaceful and non-peaceful, is one of the most outstanding achievements of Pakistan.
Great. Jabbar Sahib, your career does not span on this political era only. You have been in arts, especially filmmaking. And as a matter of fact, you are well known because of that also. You say yourself, you are the husband of Shabnam.
Very privileged to be her husband.
And she is a Kashmiri. My wife is a Kashmiri. We have common bond in that. And your daughter has produced film and directed film. And art is a very important way how you can give your message. Do you think Pakistan should attempt for the international views that art or film can be used or this social media be used to project the real peaceful views of Pakistan?
Absolutely. Dr. Saab, I think you have identified an area that Pakistan has not utilized to its optimal potential. There is extraordinary space for us to produce cinema of global quality and excellence. And we have two examples. One, not a very good example next door, which is India, which has vulgarized it into something called Bollywood, which sometimes in the past used to make some very good films, Satyajit Ray, Shyam Benegal, Mrinal Sen, others, but is now dominated by commercialism. But what they have done is, to their credit, the Indian cinema, they have developed their regional cinema, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Bengali, Marathi. So that has broadened and deepened cinema. And there are thousands and thousands of cinema theaters across the country. Unless you have cinema theaters, you can't have a vibrant cinema. We have done the opposite. We have shrunk the number of cinemas down to a bare few hundred and then below 100 now throughout the country. The neighbor to our other side, Iran, is an example of magnificence. They have been under a regime that is a theocratic, religion-based regime since 1979. Iranian film directors have produced cinema of outstanding quality. Just a few days ago at the Cannes Film Festival, Jafar Panahi, one of the foremost directors, has won the prize for their best film.
Great.
It's called It Just Happened to Be an Accident, it's called. Iranian films have won Oscar awards for the best foreign film more than once. So we too have won Oscar awards, but in the documentary field. So the potential at this time, I mean, not just saying it because I'm marrying Jabbar's father, Shabnam is her mother, but because people are making some outstanding films like Joyland, for example, Cake, for example. And currently there are people like Mo Naqvi, who has done very good work in the documentary sector. So there is scope to do much more.
Much more. I know, Jabbar Sahib, you have a writer, you have a author of more than 16 books, and you are a die-hard Pakistani, admire Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. You have authored books on Qaid. Can you share with us what motivates you to write about Jinnah? A person who is so larger in life that one book can't justify this amazing man we call Father of the Nation.
Thank you, Dr. Asaf Qadeer. You exemplify the kind of commitment and appreciation for Mr. Jinnah, which few Pakistanis, I think, do. You exemplify that. You have done so much to preserve his legacy. And just two minor but necessary clarifications. The books I have so far inflicted on this innocent world 21 books, not
21.
16.
I said 16 plus.
16 plus. Now that's a very sharp rebuttal, 21 books.
Yeah.
And I have not written a book exclusively on Mr. Jinnah, but I have written essays continuously about him over the past 15 years or so. And these have been published in anthologies. And the man is fascinating to me. What he did, what he was, how he lived his life, what he wanted to do. A man who was so keen on the theatre. He wanted to play Romeo on the stage, and he had even signed a contract, and he was bent on becoming the hero.
Right.
He became ultimately the hero to hundreds of millions of people instead of only in the theatre.
Right.
So there are many facets of Mr. Jinnah worth exploring, and he remains a source of great interest, and I'm sure your efforts will contribute to improving.
Jabbar sir, we are honored that you're going to visit Jinnah Library, the reference you're doing. We have your book that you've written on Jinnah in our library. We'll be glad if you sign and write some comments on that. And, everybody lives a life, and he wants the country he lives, the country Pakistan you live. Everyone wishes his legacy. What would you like Pakistani should remember about your legacy?
Oh my God.
I think I am entitled to ask you this question.
You're so kind.
Because you and me have come to that stage. Every day is a blessing for us.
Every day is extra.
Right.
There was a Secretary of State in the United States called John Kerry.
Yeah.
And I love the title he gave to his autobiography. He called it Every Day is Extra.
Extra.
Every day is extra. So, mashallah, may you be blessed with a long and happy, healthy life. And so I hope also my family and myself. But yeah, I would just humbly like to, hopefully, people may make the mistake of recalling that one decided to give maximum time to voluntary public service. That is a facet which is not generally widely known here, overseas, or even in Pakistan. But for over 45 years now, I give most of my working time, and time is more valuable than money. Right. Money is, you can make money makes a big difference. But time, you can never recover once you've spent it. Right. It's priceless. Right. So, one has done whatever one can across the country. And there are so many aspects that one has tried to explore. So hopefully that might have made a little difference in the lives of children or women or deprived men. That is all that one hopes. And most of all, as Shabnam's husband, and the father of Kamal Jabbar and Marine Jabbar, and Zaka Zahid Jabbar's grandfather.
Right. You brought children, and that is very interesting. Today, we are in an era of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I know.
In America, we call ourselves super artificial intelligence. I don't know, there is exceptionalism in Americans that we have lived here, witnessed it. For the youth of Pakistani, I want you to give them a message, what they can do and excel, because they are looking forward for something.
Yeah, I know.
And you are in an ideal position to give a message to them. I want my audience and the young people all across the globe, what's your advice to them?
Thank you. One can only say that, first of all, there is no such thing as a shortcut in life. Even artificial intelligence, which is a breathtaking advancement, should not be used as a substitute for personally exploring the mystery and the marvels of knowledge. Artificial intelligence is very valuable, but it is also limited in the sense no amount of artificial learning can reproduce the human empathy, the human sense of nervous connection with each other, the interrelationships between man and woman, woman and woman, what makes us human, what gives us emotion, empathy. So there is no such thing as a shortcut in life, number one. Number two, never say I don't have the time. I find a lot of young people saying, I asked them, did you read a newspaper today? Oh no, I didn't have the time. I said, what do you mean you didn't have the time? Time is the only thing you have. Use your time in a way that benefits you, increases your knowledge and awareness of the beauty of life and what's happening around you. And third, the real source of happiness is not to make yourself happy, but to make others happy. That is the most sublime form of fulfillment. And the youth of Pakistan are incredibly gifted. Oh, extraordinary talent. I work in villages, I work in small towns, and the kind of sparkle in the eyes, the intelligence that you find in the people of Pakistan, fantastic. It's so invigorating. So we've got that wealth which we need to use and make it a better world, make a better Pakistan.
Absolutely. Jawad Sahab, with this we should loudly say, Pakistan, Zindabad. Thank you very much for coming. We are honored that you're going to be visiting Jinnah Library. We are honored that you brought your wife, Shabnam, who has joined us today.
Thank you.
And inshallah ta'ala, we will be keenly looking forward for your visit.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
you